You're watching Hellbent Holler live, part of the Hellbent Media Network. Grab a drink, settle in, and get ready for the show.
I love that song, number one, because that brings us back to the 80s.
Does bring us
A
back to
decade I
the
was
80s.
barely alive in, but I truly love. I'm wearing my Conan shirt today. The Conan, got the Conan drip, everybody. Hi, everybody. My name is Jesse. This is Joe. Welcome to Hellbent Holler Live. our weekly show we do on Mondays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern every Monday. It's a free form conversation that we do and kind of interact with all of our viewers. There we go. That's our names, Jesse, Joe. And let's do a sound check. Let's make sure you guys can see us and hear us. And we will get started loud and clear. Perfect. Sounds good. All right.
We have sound and vision.
We have sound. I was making sure you're still alive. I didn't
Yeah,
hear
I'm still
anything
alive.
from you. You're
I'm
just
here.
letting me talk here. All right. Cool. First of all, I'm going to say welcome to all of our new subscribers, all of our new members that joined us over the past few days. We released a video on Saturday.
Mhm.
God, it feels like forever ago. It's been some days. We released a video on Saturday and we got a few new members. We got a bunch of new subscribers. So if you are one of those new subscribers and members, welcome to the Hellbender family. We are so glad to have you. We'll talk about that premiere.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
So,
that
Dark Side
video
of Harley
premiere.
Girl is a new sub here. Welcome, Dark Side of Harley Girl.
Very cool. Welcome. I just wanted to tell Michael Russell that we got your package today. We got a little battery in that.
We just got a battery in it and had a chance to test it out a little bit. Michael Russell sent us a
handheld parabolic
parabolic
microphone.
with some headphones that we are going to test out really soon.
We're gonna have some fun with that. So we'll probably be testing that out tomorrow, I'd
Mhm.
say, right?
Yes.
So we'll be testing that out tomorrow. And that's a little more mobile than our full scale parabolic
Mhm.
setup. It's not as sensitive, but it might be able to pinpoint sounds a little better so
Mhm.
that we can actually point our good microphones that we
Or
have
yeah,
at it. And
or
maybe-
it's also we can carry it in a backpack as
Yeah.
opposed to the big parabolic. We had all these aspirations of having like a big parabolic unit. Well, we had to scale it down so that it could be backpack portable.
yeah.
But even then, you need it takes a lot of power, and you got to have it really stationary because it picks up every little sound. So you have to carry a tripod with it, and it's just a pain to put together. It's a pain to break down. It's a pain to carry.
And
So-
if you hear like a sound in the distance and you start to catch it and it's like, oh my God, there's something in the distance, let's go towards it. It's going to be 30 minutes before we can get that broken down, packed
Mhm.
away safely, shoved into the backpack without breaking anything, unhooking all the headphones and microphones and recorders and everything, breaking down the tripod, everything. This we can just grab and go, plug in, pinpoint, and go to location. So
But
thank
anyway.
you, Michael Russell, for that. That was
Michael Tovar says they have a Conan's Pizza in Austin, Texas. Deep dish pizza with Conan stuff, like Conan memorabilia everywhere. That'd be pretty bad.
that sounds like my retirement plan, I think.
All the waiters wear those like masks from like the troll people that were serving the stew with the hands and the feet in it. And the
I was really hoping for fur loincloths,
They got
but
that
we'll
too,
go
man.
with those
So
masks.
They got that too.
Yeah. So where else we at?
Is the new parabolic small enough to mount on a chest rig? We'll just hop into a couple questions here. It is not. It's handheld. We should have brought it in with us, but we had trouble getting the battery in it. So it's not. It's handheld. It's
The
about,
simplest of
I always
operations.
Get my hands mixed up where I need to go. Looking at myself in reverse here. It's about yay big, about a foot and a half. It's got a smaller parabolic disc on there that I think that comes off, so we'll be
It
able
does,
to carry
yeah.
it. So okay,
It was
So-
shipped separately.
yes. So
But yeah, so so we're gonna actually deploy that and use it. It's gonna be awesome.
we had one of those once before, but there's like a bunch of different companies that make the same basic style
Yeah.
parabolic thing, and
I actually used it to spy on
our neighbors,
a former neighbor.
Back
It
when we
was
lived at the old place.
when we
so.
lived at the old place. I hid in the shed and pointed the parabolic mic to test it
Mhm.
out at the neighbor's house, and I overheard something very disturbing.
We can't
about my
talk
neighbor
what it was.
that
We
I can't talk about without getting a strike on our channel.
Yes, indeed.
Um,
It was dirty though. It was really dirty.
it had to do with some power tools.
power tools. Yes.
So yeah.
Right. Damn.
Yeah, so that was my last run-in with a handheld parabolic mic. So
Mhm.
well, hopefully we don't hear anything like that in the woods when we use this one. Otherwise, we're just gonna pack it up and call it a day.
Thank you for that, Curtis Whitaker.
That is
Thank you.
awesome, Curtis. Thank you.
Thank you. And somebody did a super chat before we even got started, you said, but we
yes.
lost it in the mix. So
Yep.
whoever sent that, if you're listening now, we appreciate it. Thank you. So
Yes, I appreciate it. But yeah, so what?
we had a hidden message, which I can't display. Nutslap accurately guessed what it was and typed it, and YouTube automatically flagged it and hit it. So Nutslap, you don't see your comment because YouTube flagged it and hit it.
Did he guess reciprocating saw?
No, he
Oh.
guessed. He just said power tool blank.
Oh yes.
So-
Okay. All right. I didn't know how good he was or how much experience he has with this
It's
sort of
Nutslap. You don't know what
with
Nutslap's
this sort of
capable
MacGyver technique. So if he would have guessed reciprocating saw, I would have given him 1,000 points. So
all right. Anyway.
so we don't have like a huge agenda today.
Hey, I have no agenda at all.
We actually have we have somebody sitting in the studio with us. We actually have a hellbender staying with us for a few days. So we have somebody else in the studio besides one of our cats observing from the corner. So Denim Devil is here all the way down. He took a 10-hour trip.
Mm-hmm.
A 9-hour trip to get down here. And we're actually going to go out in the woods soon. So that'll be a lot of fun. So it's cool to have a hellbender at the house.
Depending on where we go to, we might do a members live.
Yeah.
With a hellbender with us.
Yeah.
So some of you have maybe met him in the past because he's gone to some of the
events,
conferences and stuff like that we've done. So
yeah, so that'll be a lot of fun. That'll be really cool. We're really looking forward to that. So back to the task at hand. So on Saturday, we released our latest video. It was a full-on night investigation in the Grove. What is this?
He says, thank you for that, Chris. How dare the parabolic be shipped in 2 separate pieces? They clearly don't know the importance of it. I think it was going to break if they shipped it all assembled. So
it was just disassembled in the same box, but disassembled.
Yes.
So, and it came all the way from Australia too. So Saturday, I released a video.
They probably thought you were getting a ray gun after it went through customs because they probably X-ray all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they probably saw it and just went, what sort of Marvin the Martian type bullshit are these people up to, for God's sakes? So anyway.
Getting the red flag for the Marvin the Martian stuff.
Thank you, Centurion. Centurion came with a bang last week. He's back this week. So, all right.
Spooktator Bob has a little thing about here. He goes, my parabolic dish and mic experience, excellent in winter when it is cold and no insects or frogs covering up all the other sounds. Spring, fall, not very good because of the loud insects. Just my experience.
We are getting ready to enter warmer weather, which means that all of the subsequent videos that we release, it will just be nothing but people going, this would be great except for all the bug noises, insect noises, way too loud.
We go from the leaves to the bugs.
To the leaves to the bug noises. So.
And plus, don't we have the confluence of cicada broods occurring soon?
Confluence of Cicadas was my name of my band in high school. So we were awesome. We played the prom and everything. So what do we got?
Yeah. So I released a video on Saturday. It was a full-scale night investigation in the Grove in an area that I guess we deemed the Pine Swamp. So this area is nothing but pine trees. And of course, it's got a lot of water on the ground. What was nice is you can kind of walk around and you don't have the crunchy leaf complaints. However, everything looks the same in a pine forest, and especially this particular one. And I got completely lost, which is completely uncharacteristic of me. And it kind of flipped me out a little bit. I think you guys got to hear in that video me kind of losing it a little bit because it was completely unnerving to actually get lost in the woods for once. Because normally I can just lead the charge, go ahead and just barrel through the woods. And I know exactly where I'm at, but our GPS failed us. We actually did bring out a compass because we had no idea what direction we were going.
Did you include that in the video?
Yeah.
Did we mention about the compass?
We mentioned the compass.
We had so many people telling us, you need to carry a compass. And
we mentioned it, but Joe had the camera, so he's pointing it forward. And of course, we're not really paying attention to what we're filming because we're both having a bit of an issue with the fact that we have no idea where the hell we are. So we didn't film directly the compass part because it is just two of us filming everything and doing all this. So Joe was kind of just holding the camera while we tried to figure out where the heck we were. That was the biggest thing. And of course I did leave in, did you watch the video? I left in the part where I pick up the turtle.
Well, we were
puke.
on the top of a mountain when it premiered.
Yeah, I didn't know if you watched that part.
Your phone had like better reception than mine did, so I spent most of my time walking around trying to get like a little bit of signal. So I had not seen the whole thing.
But yeah, so I included that in there too. What was really weird is the sounds that we captured. Some people said it sounds like a dog. I thought it sounded like a dog at first.
That first one we heard did
like
sound like a dog. But then it morphed.
It kind of rounded out. Yeah. Like it was more of a rounded sound, like something that you would make if you had, lips, and that you could actually make a rounded sound with. So it was, to me, it sounded like a weird kind of chattering. And somebody said something like it sounded like a gibbon. And I was like, that's almost spot on is what it sounded like. And then we go back to, was it trying to lure us in a direction? And because it's weird that
was
hearing that, and then
comment that I saved earlier was Lone Star Sixer. The most recent video y'all posted when you were following those stones, and those were pieces of quartz that were laid on top of the pine needles that we just kind of followed through that swamp, trying to stay straight out of what the Fae would do. And the Fae would do. You hear just different variations of this through different folklore. Shiny little rocks, little treats of some sorts, coins or whatever, and you would literally just kind of follow. You'd pick up one, and then you'd see another one, and the next thing you know, you've been drawn too far into the woods. We make a comment about that. Did you put that in the video? Because we even went, it's like somebody's laid out a little trail of breadcrumbs here for us.
Metaphysical breadcrumbs.
That's right. But that is exactly right. So we followed those, and then all of a sudden we start trying to follow the noises to get close.
And that took us in a different direction.
And if you can't tell from that video, everything looks the same in there. It's just pine tree, hole in the ground. There's water. Actually, we end up using some of the larger pools of water in there as almost landmarks to get out. Yeah. But we ended up using a compass and just getting the right direction, and then just busting through the pine forest to get out of there at that point. And that's not a huge area, but it's just weird that you completely lost your sense of direction. And then my compass, and somebody was like, well, you guys need to use, my GPS. We weren't using a phone for GPS. We've got like a dedicated, I've got it on my backpack, but we've got a Garmin 64 ST. It's a good GPS unit that we've really not had problems with. We upgraded our GPS units because we were having problems with like lesser units. And this one had us in the location, but the directional arrow, that shows where you're going to, kept kind of jumping around and like spinning, like it couldn't figure out where we were or what direction we were heading into, which was really weird. So we finally just busted out the compass. We knew which general direction one of the Forest Service roads was, and we ended up finding one, not the one we were looking for, but we found one, and then we're able to get out of there and get a little perspective on where we were at that point. So. Quicksand out there. No quicksand. We've not run across legit quicksand as of yet.
Suji said, Jesse, I would have brought that stinky turtle shell home. So normally if I find a turtle shell or anything out there, that's why I went right for it and picked it up. If I find anything like that out there, a skull, a bone, anything like that, a cool rock, I always pick it up.
Yeah.
And then we have to put it in the backpack and take it home. That was my intention. That was like, oh my God, it's a turtle shell. So I went for it because I was going to bring it home because I always bring them home. Grabbed it. And of course, all the rotten turtle juice, the turtle soup came out, and that led to a nice little gag fest there. So that one stayed in the woods. That was a rare instance in which the treasure stayed in the woods.
So the reason, all right, so a little like backstory on this, and there's a area in North Georgia that we've gone to that's somewhat near that cemetery that we tried to live stream from that night, and that it went terribly. We used to spend a lot of time in there, and eventually the activity kind of went quiet on us. Like it just stopped and it never started back up again. But anyway, this section in North Georgia, and it was never a bad really feeling out there, not like the other section of North Georgia where we've gone to,
Right.
which is really bad. But we were there one time and we found, how like a turtle shell, when it loses the exterior of the shell, it's just like a bone white color. We found a white turtle shell on top of this like tree that had been cut down like years and years and years ago, like 100 years ago. It's like a rotting stump. Back when there were settlements in those woods before they were taken and made public land. And we're standing there looking at it, and then we see another one down the way. We go to that, and then we end up finding 3.
Yeah.
And it led us into this little area with like this little
sort of laid out in a trail.
Yeah. And we found this little hidden valley area that we found a bunch of prints in and everything. So when we saw that turtle shell, both of us instantly just went, it's another path we're supposed to follow, know? And then Jesse picked it up. No, it's just a rotting dead turtle on the forest floor that she ended up getting turtle juice all over her hands. So, all right. I know you got a couple things started here.
I do. And I've lost one of these.
Jay wanted to know, could all that quartz have had something to do with your GPS not working? We've gone into that area before, never had a problem with the GPS. We've been in other areas with a lot of quartz and never had a problem with the GPS like that.
Even somewhere like the Uwharrie has these insane quartz veins. We were in the Uwharrie and we found the pieces of quartz we found in those areas were
huge,
absolutely huge. And then there's an area up in North Carolina that it's off of the Blue Ridge Parkway that we've investigated before, that we have found massive pieces of quartz.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are the size of like a go-kart, and we never had any sort of GPS problems in areas like that. So it could be, I'm not going to completely eliminate that possibility.
I don't think the quartz had anything to do
but we've never had anything like that happen in an area that has like quartz like that.
Yeah. Sheila had said, I thought it sounded like a bad imitation of a barred owl. That was the cadence that was bird-like. And we've heard barred owls near that area before. But they're barred owls. You can tell they're barred owls.
And they're everywhere, but you can immediately tell what a barred owl sounds like. It's that ostrich monkey sound.
It sounded almost like a dog at first, and then it changed. It sounded almost like a barred owl. It's just, and we heard it from multiple directions at once. It's just weird, very, very weird. And if there's I always do this too, is that if it's let's say there's like a wild dog running around that forest with us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A wild dog's not going to bark and then try to draw us deeper into the woods. This is what that seemed like.
If it does, that's a pretty diabolical dog.
Pretty diabolical dog. So, all right. What else do we got there? Thank you for that, Eddie Russell.
Yeah, Eddie.
Wow,
thanks,
thank you.
Very cool.
You're most generous of you. Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate it. So,
Lady Wolf had an interesting thing here. Going back to the quartz, she says it always seems that the quartz messes with cell phones, always pixelates when you try to stream.
I think that the quartz compounds something that's there sometimes. That if we were in there and nothing weird was going on, I think that quartz wouldn't be a problem. But it seems like it's a magnifier or a magnet of some type.
Yeah, it just amplifies whatever.
Perfect way. That's what I'm looking for. Amplifier for it. So thank you again for that, Eddie. I don't want to. That's very, very generous of you. Thank you so much. We'll put that to good use. So. All right.
Where are we at here? Oh, I'm marking more if you want to go through.
David asked, I'm into safety and weapons and want to know what safety and weapons each carry, and do you really think it's adequate? Thank you. We carry safety devices like we carry like a lot of first aid type stuff. We have both. You could probably do minor surgery out of what we carry in our car.
Yeah.
And then we carry trauma kits and then a good just first aid kit with us, tourniquet, all that. We carry protection. We carry 9 millimeter. We carry 10 millimeter pistols with us with hard cast ammunition that has been provided to us by Martin Groves. That he's had some kind of protection blessing, type things going on to it.
Every time we see Martin Groves, we end up with
we found 3 boxes of ammunition that we forgot
From
that he
our
gave us
last
last
trip,
time we
yeah.
saw him. So we have
it's
special
always Vienna sausages and blessed 10
meter
millimeter
ammunition. We have that. Jesse carries a personal locator beacon that can be used to trigger. That's not going to help us if we get like a real sticky situation, but if one of us gets injured or both of us get injured, like a fall or a twisted ankle or something like that, we could use that. Or if stuff just went south on us, we could at least transmit our last location, and maybe somebody will find the SD cards on our cameras at least and figure out what happened to us. But we don't go into the woods unarmed. I mean, we don't go anywhere unarmed, but we carry handguns. We don't carry long guns. Occasionally, depending on the area that's going in, I will carry like a Mossberg Shockwave 12 gauge with me. But for the most part, we carry like 10 millimeter pistols with hard cast, like Grizzly ammunition. So, all right. Our buddy South Force is in here. We were actually talking about you day before yesterday. Corpsewood looks like a terrible place to be. Are they talking about Corpsewood Manor or the Pine Forest? Yeah, Corpsewood's is a terrible place to be.
Follow up to that, Cryptid Castleberry Paranormal says, y'all mentioned in the video that it's time to take a break from the Grove. Are y'all thinking about going back to North Georgia / Corpsewood Manor area soon?
We have got something planned for Corpsewood. We've got to figure out when we're going to do it. And logistically, there's logistics that go along.
Because we have to have some manner of backup when we go out there. We can't just go out just the two of us because the people element.
The people element is probably the worst there than it is anywhere we've ever gone to. So we're going to need somebody to watch our vehicles, if nothing else, to make sure they don't get disabled, because that will happen.
Yeah. And I'm not sure what's scarier. Is it the ghosties, the ghoulies, the Satanists, or is it the crazy mutants that we saw last time we were out there? So we just need to make sure that we, for once, actually have adequate backup with what we're doing.
Scott Bradshaw, what up? When y'all going back to the LBL? We're going back to the LBL. We're not going to announce it ahead of time. People will find out about it right as we're leaving, just because, again, the people element. You have so many people trying to dox you and try to just basically mess with your investigation for their own purposes. So we have to really be aware of that going into it. The other thing too that we have to watch out for is that our profile is a lot higher now with the LBL than it was before.
Yeah,
and
I think after the Small Town Monsters at first doc came out, Alex's doc with Strange Places, since that came out, I think that our profile there is a little higher. We already had one of the, not the last time we were out there, but the time before, we were actually already stopped once and kind of hassled, and we don't exactly blend in when we go places.
Yeah, no doubt. So we will be going back. I think we are going to do a different approach to the LBL. We've been talking to the Deuster, Dewey Edwards, and Martin Groves about some stuff that we're going to do there. So yeah, we'll be back.
Yeah, I think it's time that we kind of diversify our approach to the LBL and kind of what we're looking for. Also, we've really gone heavy on the Dogman subject going out there, but I feel like we've really kind of left the hauntings and the ghost side of things behind.
And all of it's intertwined, we think so.
And it seems like the LBO is a hotbed for all of that, for like all types of activity. And I don't think we've really given that aspect of it its due or its time. So I'm looking forward to hanging out with the Deuster and really
Deuster and Martin and running around.
Digging into that.
A buddy, Cryptid Response, what's up? Had mentioned just not only is the veil thinning, it's very possible it could be completely removed. So that's kind of chilling, you know?
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy is that somebody might just look at it and go, oh, that's just something dramatic to say. You get normalcy bias with this stuff. You know what I'm saying? You get normalcy bias just because every day that you've lived up until this day does not mean that tomorrow is going to be the exact same way. And there could come a time where all of us that are really involved in this stuff all say the same thing, that the veil seems like it's thinning. And there are people that will go, oh, it's always been like this. There's no UFO flaps. There's just the same amount of activity that goes on, people just notice it more. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case at all. Anecdotally, just from our own experiences, it's accelerating, it's increasing, and it's getting weirder. And we're
Yeah.
not the only people that experience that.
No.
If it was just us, I would say we're either becoming more aware of it or we're drawing it in more individually,
Or we're getting crazier.
or we're getting crazier. Yeah. Little column A, little column B, little column C there. But other people are experiencing the same thing, man. Other people are experiencing this stuff. And the amount of just people that we get contacting us, and we're still pretty low profile with this stuff. And we get so many people contacting us, not going, let me tell you about a story 10 years ago. It's, let me tell you about this stuff that just started up on my property, and can you offer me any insight?
Yeah.
So not only is it people that you kind of know from like the research and investigative, side of things here, it's a lot of normal people, who aren't just, don't live, eat, and breathe this stuff, are starting to have experiences that they didn't have before. So,
And I think there's a more of a wider opening of the conscious of
Mhm.
what the possibilities are.
Yeah.
I think that UAP disclosure contributes to that people's horizons are being expanded every day. And I think that that's contributing to this,
Mhm.
that is there's more awareness on these subjects and on these experiences that maybe people are going to open their eyes to them and be subject to them more often. So not today, Sabin, going back to the courts thing, and then we will probably leave the courts alone.
Yeah.
We talk about courts constantly.
Yeah, and I understand. I've seen some of the comments in here. It can, but here's the deal. It hasn't ever caused that problem there before.
Right.
We've never had a problem there or anywhere else that's courts heavy with that GPS. Now that, again, normalcy bias doesn't mean that there's not a first time for everything. It's just freaking, the series of events that we went through are weird. If you could see what I see right now, you would just see charging equipment. Okay. Cables, stumps,
I don't think everybody calls them stumps.
well, you know what I'm talking about, like the little
Blocks.
blocks. There you go. But
I think I'm the one that calls
we're
them
like,
stumps.
I'm obsessive about charging stuff to the point where when we get home from being out, like investigating, I charge stuff before I go to bed.
Yeah.
Okay. And then before we go out again, I double check everything. And for that for the thermal to be drained like that, which was weird because we really needed that thermal,
Yeah.
Our evening was planned around having a thermal to really kind of like watch around us, and that was gone. And then we get led in one direction, we get led in another direction, and then we decide to leave. And it was when we decided to get out of there that's what the moment that the GPS starts messing up. That's just a weird, I don't know, it's a bridge too far for me. I mean, you can't rule it out, but if you rule it out, that timing is exceptionally strange.
Yeah.
So
Marcus Aurelius has one on here. How about doing a haunting investigation at the bar you used to work at, Jesse? I will not be setting foot back in that bar. So somebody else can investigate those ghosts.
But
thank you, Marcus. And also, Marcus, I'm drinking my delicious Earl Grey tea today in my proper English cup.
All right, so let's see what we got here. We got a bunch of stuff.
I know it's all over the place too.
Rent a crew one and that. We're all over the damn place, man. Typical Monday. When you're putting up merchandise to buy, we're gonna do a pre-order for stuff. Trust me, I would love to be able to have a thriving merchandise store to help fund a lot of this stuff, but we just don't have time.
The logistics side of that, because we don't want to do the print on demand. We have to get everything printed.
And like I always say, we've got the spending money side of all of this done. You know what I'm saying? We don't really have the making money of this. We just don't have time for it. So we figured like a pre-order will be the best. The people that want it can get it.
Yep. And we'll put that up and I'll get all that information. I know I said I'd do it, like Friday?
Yeah.
We actually spent Friday packing everything up and getting everything ordered in order to go out into the woods for the weekend. So
Julie Bug wanted to know, are we planning on doing anything close to or on the eclipse night? I don't think the eclipse is going to be visible from where we're at all.
No, I don't think it is. And we're definitely not going to the LVL for that because I'm anticipating that because it's going to basically be in totality over the LVL.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to avoid that like the plague. So, I mean, it is happening at that time. I think we'll probably be out. We'll probably be in one of our hotspots in our region. just because it's an interesting celestial event.
Surviving the Strange actually found us from South Force 10. Yeah, and we've got a project that we're thinking about doing over the next year or so, South Force. We might reach out to you if you're still on here to see if that's something you'd be interested in. And then Sam Burton, Ace and I are there for you at Corpsewood Manor. Our friend Sam Burton lives near Corpsewood Manor. And was it Halloween that he tried to go there and got chased out by legit cultists? He stumbled across people setting up for a ritual and got chased out of that area. And then, thought about going back, arming up and regulators mount up, heading back in, and then just went, no, I'm not going back in there alone. But that would be somebody that we would kind of lean on there for that. Our buddy Gazok wanted to know how the digital recorder project is going. It works everywhere except for the Grove. So far. So I have got to figure out, and again, it's working in other spots that have high quartz content. It's just there is something. It's frustrating as all hell. So I am trying a variety of different recorders. The recorder is the most complex portion of this, and that's where the failure keeps happening. And you can function test it before you go. You can function test it when you're there. You can function test it when you get back. You still end up with a bunch of corrupted files.
Yeah.
So I've got another recorder that's slated. We got to get. And the other thing too is I have and I know it's probably ridiculous, but I have a just fear of leaving really expensive equipment out for like a long time. I saw remember I showed you that Facebook group, that guy came across some like Wildtronics bat recorders, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're like $1,500 a pop. They have ultrasonic microphones to record bats. He just stumbled across somebody had staged them out there, put them up to like record, and he's just out there messing with them, banging them with them. And I'm going, dude, you're messing with like extremely expensive equipment there. So chances of that happening are pretty slim to none with us, considering where we go to, but it's still a worry. So I want to try to keep it as cheap as possible because I also want to field a bunch of them. So if I build something that costs $500, I'm not going to be able to make a bunch of them. So I've got to try to keep it around that $100 like level at this point.
Marcus Aurelius coming in with this super chat. Joe and Jesse, while living in New Orleans, did you ever hear stories about vampires that may have swayed your belief to believe in such accounts?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Joe was down there during Katrina.
Yeah.
I came to New Orleans right after Katrina, and Joe was there through it.
There was talk, and another YouTuber podcaster type had talked about a similar story that I later found out about. And that's when I just went, yeah, I heard something similar to it, but I don't know if it was I don't think it was somebody pulling my leg, but there were talks that after Katrina, during all the chaos and all that members of the New Orleans Police Department like had run-ins, engagements, fights with what you could consider like vampires. It seemed like they had 30 days a night type stuff. You know what I'm saying? Go into an area that's like cut off and chaotic, and you can basically do whatever the hell you want to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's secondhand information, but the way I heard it made me. You can even tell how I'm acting right now. It's such a weird story, and it was just kind of just completely shook your reality. And honestly, if you were just like, so you believe in like vampires and unicorns and all of this stuff, I don't know what I believe, man. I'm just telling you what the stories I heard, and they were believable. They were very believable. So, Sheila Abilene wanted to know, can you legally carry an electric cattle prod? I don't know. I've never thought it. Sheila's mind works in such interesting ways. Do you know what I'm saying? So,
you know what? Screw the law. I'm taking it.
So if you guys ever notice, sometimes when we have weird stuff and we reach out to the community, like the Big Hellbender community for like input, Sheila's usually one of the first couple of emails we get. And it's always like,
especially when it's like
really good.
Medical problems.
It's just so insightful. It's just such a good thing. But I don't know if we could carry that or not. We don't even.
I don't want to get close enough to anything to actually have to use a cattle prod unless I'm using it on Joe. I don't want to get close enough to where I have to use a cattle prod. So I want to keep my distance. So that's why I stick with the G29 on my chest.
Dark Side Harley Girl, maybe you can do an Amazon wish list. We can help you get some equipment. We've actually talked about doing that. I know a lot of people do that. we launched memberships, and then we try to give a lot back to the members so that they feel that it's really funding a worthwhile project. We maybe need to break down and eventually do that, because there is a lot of stuff that
Just odds and ends.
I'm constantly like on the back burner to do. So we might look into doing that. So
we missed this one here. Thank you, Mike Sales, for that super
thank you for that,
sticker,
Mike. So,
my friend. I
hey, and then
appreciate
also
that.
too, speaking of Dark Side Harley, girl joined memberships. You got a lot of stuff to catch up to, and you'll have something possibly tomorrow night to watch live.
Yes,
Maybe.
there might be a live investigation featuring one of our hell vendors.
So Cryptid Castleberry's got the distant screaming and singing, and the LBL is what creeps me out. Now the singing was in the second of the werewolf experiments, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Is
It
that
was
what you
towards
put it
the
in?
end there. Yeah.
That singing that we heard, and I know people will always be like, well, those are just people out in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was below freezing. We had already gone around. Yes, I guess you couldn't rule out the fact that people were out in sub-freezing weather on foot, miles from their vehicle, just out having a sing-along in the forest, except in the wintertime in that area, body heat is like just glows like a freaking, it's like fireworks. Why could we not see them on thermal? Why could we not, and it sounded like a bunch of kids singing
In the woods.
in the woods,
which is like, okay, I'll handle like a howling, a whooping, anything like that. But then when we encounter children singing in the woods in the middle of the night and like freezing temperatures, that's a little disturbing.
So
even for me.
And you always have to do this, is that when we were talking earlier about that first sound we heard sounded like a dog. Guess what? It could have been a dog.
Yeah.
And then there could have been something else on top of that. When you hear something, you obviously didn't see it. You can never really be 100% positive.
That's true. Yeah. Unless you have a dead-on sighting of whatever you think this is, or whatever you're experiencing, whatever you're hearing, you can't say for certain exactly what it is.
And the other thing too is that stuff sounds weird at night. I mean, you'll hear foxes. You think that you've heard every noise a fox can make, and then you hear something else. Coyotes. But coyotes always have that kind of coyote-like sound to them. Foxes.
I listened to, because that first clip in the video that I released on Saturday, the one that I play back with the sound amplified 10 decibels and I amplified 20 decibels. That sound, it was like a screaming. It was like a screeching, screaming kind of sound. And I was like, could this be like a fox? You know, because foxes make a screaming kind of sound when they're kind of engaged in fox battle.
And Michael's talking about, like, back to this real quick, just because it popped up.
Yeah.
Talking about in the Army that people would get lost in the jungle. Jesse's got this insane, and Michael, we've talked about that with you before. She's got an insane like sense of direction. It's like nuts. It's just insane. It's the best of anybody I've ever seen before. And that area is not that, we keep harping about the Grove. It's not huge, although that pine area is bigger than what I thought it was.
Yeah.
It's deceptively large, but it's just weird to just get lost like that. And of course, somebody was like going, you need to scout these areas out during the daytime. Sometimes we do, but guess what? That night we had, like, and I'm sure you included this in the video, we went into that area because we were on our way to another spot and we saw something tall with eye shine from the truck. So we whipped in there and we were like, we need to see if we can find out what made this eye shine.
Also, we've been to that area before. We've been to that pine forest before.
Yeah.
We had gone in there a while back. I actually have video from it. I haven't released. I think I'll release that to members. But we went during the day a couple weeks prior, and we still got completely turned around. So we've scouted a lot of that area, and we've actually went deeper into that area than we've gone before. So we scouted kind of the beginning of it, and then with this night investigation, we went really deep into that forest, and actually following that trail of quartz and then following that sound took us deeper than we've ever been before. So even if you scout an area, what do you like decide your dividing line? Like, oh, I only scouted up to point A, so I can't go beyond that. We're going to continue to go beyond that when we have activity going on.
Well, I also think too that sometimes the uncertainty and like that nervousness that you get when you're in like a brand new area at night and you're not quite sure what to expect, I think that sometimes strengthens the weird activity that goes on.
Yeah.
Because we have done that before.
Well,
Sometimes.
because you have that uncertainty and that fear kind of feeding into it.
We
as
just get a
well.
wild hair and we just go, let's just go into that night. Go in there at night. Do you want to scout it? Actually, I don't want to scout this. Let's just go on in there.
And we've
see
done that
what's
several
up.
times and we've gotten some
Yeah.
really strange activity. Rob S. Says, have you taken tracking classes, Jesse? You both are very good. I have done personal study in tracking, but I am wilderness first aid certified, CPR certified, and I've taken several survival courses. But I need some like real hardcore formal.
And I can't show
tracking.
you tracking because
No,
it's just that couple thing. I can't.
he's not allowed to try to
I
teach
can't-
me anything.
I mean, so yeah, I don't know. We need to find somebody
It
else other
devolves
than me.
into a fight, and
Yeah.
then I don't make you dinner.
Yes, exactly. So it needs
um,
somebody else that can show her tracking for it. So
Yeah. And it's hard to find like I've done a lot of research on you can take a basic tracking course, but that's not what I want. I want somebody that is
you need like combat man tracking. You need to learn
Yeah.
how to because I don't think you're tracking animals with this. You need someone to show you how to follow a man who's trying to
evade you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And there's not a lot of people that do that sort of instruction. So it's a matter of finding the right person to kind of teach me that.
did you
one
get
day.
Karen super sticker?
No, I did not.
Karen, thank you for that. We greatly appreciate it. So getting a bunch of super stickers tonight with no questions. Thank you for that, Karen. Go into the recorder project. It's where it'll go into. So
The recorder project.
the recorder project. So
Somebody said I was trained by Rambo.
a couple quick things here real quick that I'd starred. Michael had asked, he's from Texas. I know it's far. Have you ever thought about coming to East Texas for Squatch field research, the big thicket area? I would love to go there. If I had a short list of like 10, like 5 like spots. And as this project kind of grows, and we're able to expand out from the Southern Appalachians, it's still going to be our base, but that's one of those spots I'd love to go to at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm really obsessed with the idea of us going to the Ozarks eventually.
Yeah, you've been talking about the Ozarks a lot.
I'm like obsessed with the Ozarks right now.
Craig Collins, hey, Jesse and Joe, do you have any trouble using access roads to national parks? And do you park vehicle way down on the road out of sight? We mostly use like this weekend, we were on some old, I don't think they're logging roads. I'm assuming they're old, maybe Forest Service roads that have been fallen out of disrepair.
And we don't really go to national parks.
Yeah, no.
So the national park that we're in proximity to is the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, which is absolutely overrun with people. It is an insanely popular park, especially post-COVID. So there are some areas, like in some trails, where you have to enter a lottery just to get a parking spot.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to avoid areas that are just full of people.
Mm-hmm.
So we really don't do a lot of stuff in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park at all because it's just full of people. And most of the trails and areas there are just insanely civilized. We do have a couple of areas that are actually part of the park that we will go to, but they're very difficult to get to. So that requires a lot of logistics for us to kind of get to those areas. But there's so many people in those areas. We've been avoiding those just because you want to go somewhere where there's not a ton of people. So you're not going to have any sort of, anything kind of convoluting your evidence.
Well, you also
like
too,
that.
it's just that it goes back to that John Keel thing where he always talked about how anomalous activity, whether it's like physical cryptid stuff on the ground or UFOs, seems to happen middle of the night when there's fewer people awake in areas where there's fewer people around. It wants an audience. It just doesn't want that big of an audience. So I'll jump real quick here. Cryptid Castleberry had mentioned New Orleans vampire investigation time. So here's what's weird is New Orleans is just like indelibly, it's entwined with the whole American vampire myth at this point. Anne Rice, all of that stuff.
Well, they have like a vampire cafe.
You got a vampire ball down there. You literally have like people doing ghost tours who live as vampires 24/7.
Half of the people.
Well, I guess 12/7 because the other 12, they're out of the sun. You know what I'm saying? If they're really living the life. But it's so tied in with vampire stuff. But the only time I ever heard anything that sounded like legit, like just an oh shit moment, was those stories about what they ran into after Katrina. I don't think it was something that was down there before. I don't honestly think it's something that's down there now, but New Orleans does. It's a poorly kept secret that they usually estimate that there are 2 to 4 serial killers working in New Orleans at any given time. And they cover it up because obviously New Orleans' lifeblood is tourism.
Right.
And New Orleans has a very transient population. So I'm saying to myself, the only time I ever really heard about that was after Katrina. But maybe that's what one of those serial killers. I mean, it's such a weird story. This takes us to even more crackpot territory. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we're not even talking about like UFOs and Fae and Bigfoot and Dogman, but like vampires. But that was a legit, and maybe that's not even what they were. Maybe that's what the police that interacted with them interpreted them as. Maybe that was the closest approximation to them. Eating people really resistant to gunfire, you know what I'm saying? And it like haunted the people that it interacted with it. I don't even like talking about it because it makes me sound even crazier, but
yeah,
it was literally just a moment of me just sitting there going, am I really like hearing this right now? Like, are you guys like messing with me? No, it's, Marcus wanted to know, and he going back to the Brown Mountain Lights and used the Death Star laser on them. Marcus got to say, a Death Star laser is a pretty good description of it. It's an insanely powerful laser. Had it out this weekend. Yeah, we are actually planning up a trip up there. We've got to time it when there's not going to be a lot of people up there because it's a big skiing area, and we've got to time it. We got to time it just right. But yes, we are. And your laser is going to get put to good use. Once we also have to. We're shooting a laser in the sky. We've got to focus on the lights there's a mountain backdrop so we don't accidentally like end up in like federal prison for hitting like a helicopter or something like that, with this laser and blinding the pilot. So we've got to only focus on the ones that are below the horizon then.
My brother was a photographer in a helicopter and in a news helicopter, and somebody shot one of those lasers into the cabin of the helicopter, and so they had to pinpoint who it was, and then the dude got arrested and he went to federal prison for doing that. So that's federal, no joke.
Pound me in the blank prison.
Yes, so. Correct.
Mike, is that Mike S or Mike 575 or S75?
It's an S, Papaw.
Getting blind. Welcome to members, my friend. So
yes,
hope you enjoy it. So
Centurion Legio
for snake garters,
we need snake gators.
We need some gators, man. We're gonna have to get gators this year. We've tempted fate a little bit too much.
I've implemented the stick into our system here, and the prodding with the stick wherever we go now. But I think we're gonna have to probably get some gators because we have tempted fate a bit when it comes to these areas.
And Shelly wants to know, do you guys ever put out any physical markings anywhere to keep track of a directional safety net? We have those, but we don't always use those, but we do have those in certain areas. We weren't using them that night because, and our buddy will see tomorrow night, this place is not huge. That's why we kind of poo-pooed this place to begin with. As far as like just sheer like acreage, this is not as large as like some of the other national forests and stuff like that we go to, but it's weird. And but yeah, we have little things that we sometimes leave just to kind of be able to like find our way back. Generally we're doing that if we need to think we're gonna have to get out of an area in a hurry, and we didn't really think that down there. So
I'm updating all the marks here if you want to go through those too.
All right, see what else we got.
A lot of people talking about the Mark Twain forest in the Ozarks.
Kathy Grant. Currently live near the LBL, but moved here from Atlanta. You need to check out the North Georgia mountains near Helen. Yeah, they got a lot of Bigfoot reports around there. They have a lot of Bigfoot and other stuff reports from up there. And what's weird is we've talked about this before, but there's that Bigfoot museum. What is that?
That's in Cherry Log, Georgia, outside of Blue Ridge, Georgia.
So that area, once that museum opened up, like Bigfoot sightings like blew up there. And you could say that, oh, well, people have just got Bigfoot on the brain and everything they see, they're interpreting it as Bigfoot. Or was the constant increased thoughts and mental energy that was being put forth towards Bigfoot make it easier for the phenomenon to,
Or
if
could it
you're
be that-
taking a woo stance with it, you know what I'm saying?
Or could
So,
they have a better mechanism for reporting now? Because
Might.
it is, you can actually go in there and report any sightings that you have.
Yeah.
People go in there and then they are more open to talk about what they've experienced.
Mark is talking about a Mothman investigation one day. A lot of people are doing Mothman, and there's some like Mothman scholars out there. There's people that really know the stuff. I don't think we're at that level on it. I would like to do, because we didn't start off this way, but we have veered into Keel territory more and more the longer we've been doing this.
Yes.
Really veered into Keel territory. So much so that as I'm rereading a lot of his stuff now with like a fresh set of eyes, I'm just going, damn, this is just, when I read it before, it was just words on a page. And now I'm looking at it going, yep, experience that. Yep, experience that. It's just, it's insane reading it right now. But yeah, it might be something we throw on the wish list there. So. Are you ready for tick season ahead? No, we are not.
We are never ready for
the
tick
area
season.
we were in this weekend. We said several times, in a couple of weeks, this area is going to be you're not going to be able to like go through the brush like we're going right now.
We were going through, it was young pines, and they're about this high. Well, they're over my head. They're pretty high on Joe, but they're over my head. And they're so close together. You have to press through all of them. So you have them going all over you. And I was like, this is going to be a nightmare in the summer. So that place is completely out in the summer because of the tick situation that's going to go down there. Ever since our horrific incident at the LBL with the seed ticks after the Dogman conference, I am so wary of tick infested areas. It's got me kind of freaked out. So not looking forward to that. Valley Parks asks, what color lasers do you use at night?
Got a green and blue right now.
Yeah.
So green and blue.
And then we use those red flashlights. In the video I released on Saturday, somebody said you have very weak flashlights. And
it's just how the red looks on.
That's what the red looks like in night vision. But we were using red flashlights because it saves our night vision. We can be a little more covert moving through the woods with red flashlights. But yes, we use red flashlights. And then as far as lasers go, our high powered lasers are blue or green.
So let's see. LW just took a tracking class not too long ago. I think, where were you at, LW? I don't want to dox you. I'm trying to remember where you told me that you had taken that at. That's not the place you were looking at going to, but there's another spot. So Grace and Catherine showing up late.
Michael Russell suggests that you dab ticks with concentrated washing detergent. It annoys them, causing extraction, and they drop off. I have what's called a tick key. I actually bought my first tick key in the Land Between the Lakes. I just thought it was cool because it was orange. It was a tick key. I thought that was kind of cool and novel until I was covered in ticks. And the tick key actually works. So if you are in an area with ticks, get a tick key. It's really narrow at one end and wide it together. You put it on the tick and slide it, and the tick comes right off. So I'm looking forward to our very humbling tick search experiences on each other.
Every crevice. You got to get into every crevice, every nook and cranny.
With a flashlight. So
yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Flashlight in your mouth, both hands to lift and separate stuff to make sure that there's no little hitchhikers on you there. So
lift and separate. Thanks. Although, according to the one commenter, you don't have a lot to lift and separate this general reason.
Let's see here. What is this? Ulaine? Is that, am I pronouncing that right?
It appears to be.
Because this is something that's commonly asked. It's asked and then it's said mockingly to us. You know what I'm saying? Which is not the case here. But what would you do if there's a dog man in front of you guys? Try to get footage of it and then try to get out of it safely. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
And that's the best I can give you. I understand that people will go, if you run into multiple things, you might be dead. I understand that. People climb into airplanes and skydive every day, knowing that there's a possibility that this might result in death when they still want to do it. So every time where we have something happen where we go, we got to really think about what we're doing here. This is getting pretty dangerous. Once that fades, the desire to like kind of peek behind the curtain comes back, and we end up back going out there.
Yeah.
So we go armed, we carry other protection. And I hate to say it, we're not really joking when we say if something goes wrong, I hope they find the SD cards,
Just in a pile of scat.
because if I'm going to go out, I want to go out.
Yeah.
I don't want to like get hit by a bus or,
What if it's a dog man driving a bus? Will you take that?
yeah, the dog.
As long as I film it.
I got hit by the dogman bus. So, I remember Mike had asked maybe a Laughing Corner trip before the 200-pound bugs are in the season.
Yeah.
That's a good, yes.
Yeah.
I wish, man, that out of all the places that I wish we could live stream from, that's the spot I wish we could.
Laughing
live stream.
Beast.
Laughing Beast.
Yeah.
Because I got to tell you, we have not experienced a lot in Laughing Beast other than some weird noises that we even had a hard time picking up.
Mm-hmm.
That's the spookiest freaking place where just even going in, I'm
What's
having to
weird is like you have an insane feeling of sketchiness. We've never seen another person there.
never.
And it's
And
not like we're seeing like sketchy dudes.
we tried to get in touch
lurking
with
through the
the
forest.
witness. And if you're the lady that we've spoken to several times about you and your husband seeing the laughing creature
Yeah.
or having that laughing creature approach you and you guys getting out of the area, please get in touch with us because we've been trying to get in touch with you. We would love to talk to you once again. So
Shelly Vidal said, when I was shopping for handguns, I saw some night vision goggles and it totally blew me away on how expensive they are. Gave me a new respect for the expenses you two must go through to be ready.
man, it's just
And then when our thermals crap out on
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
but it's now we don't have PVS like 14s.
Right. We don't have military grade.
Because you have
night
to have
vision.
that separate to record off of. You have to have a separate mechanism to record off of. And light will damage it. We're going to probably over the next year get a set to have back. But for what we do, the digital night vision, which that's like over $1,000 a pop.
Yeah.
The thermals are expensive. Yes. And that's the thing. I mean, we caught a certain amount of grief when we finally listened to people and launched memberships. We knew we were going to get that. Y'all are just a bunch of grifters.
Hey,
you're
that's
in it.
my grift.
Yeah, it's my grift. You're in it for the money. And I'm going, man, if we could just break even on some of the equipment, that'd be like awesome. I mean, we've invested so much in this, and we're hitting the point now where a lot of the equipment has been getting used hard and getting, used weekly, and some of it's just starting to give up. I mean, like Jesse mentioned, one of our thermals went down. So it is something you have to sacrifice a lot to do. And if we decided to quit the YouTube channel tomorrow and just keep doing this stuff, we'd still be sacrificing and doing this.
But at least now we can share our adventures
Yeah,
with everybody.
the whole goal of it was to share it with people, and that adds another level of complexity. If we were just in it that's the other thing we always get. You just need to go out there with no cameras and no equipment, and the activity will come to you. I understand that. The whole goal of this project is
to get proof.
to try to get proof of something, to advance it beyond just another
Story.
That's the whole thing. There's plenty of stories out there. A lot of people have got stories. The whole idea of this is to try to get something substantial that will move it beyond just campfire stories.
Yeah.
That's it. Whether it's audio, thermal, visual, whether it's up for debate or to not, at least get something out there. And also just to kind of go out, and part of it is a lesser parts for us to experience it. You know what I'm saying? And quantify it. I want to know if we experienced something weird. Was there advanced, was there heightened levels of like radiation? Were we catching weird RF signals? Was there a strange like electromagnetic field going on? Something that reaches just beyond your senses, your five senses.
Some solid data with
some
solid
data that goes
information.
beyond that a little bit. So that's the whole purpose of it. So
Surviving the Strange asked, were you guys using a new camera to film the most recent episodes? Seems you jumped from night mode to flashlights quicker. We're using our Sony. When it is that green night vision, that's when we're using a Sony camera. But we've been using that Sony camera lately because it's a way better picture. We have the full spectrum camera that we have on the rig. That's a lower quality camera, but it's got that full spectrum. That's where it's all purple, and it's that purple at night and everything. And it's all the different colors.
because it's picking up the UV as well.
Yeah, so that's a full spectrum camera, so that you can see the difference depending on the footage.
All of them have trade-offs. The full spectrum action cams are very handy,
Very small.
and they're from UV to IR. They're the entire range of light. So we have been able to pick up orbs and weird witch lights and stuff like that sometimes easier with those than we can with other night vision and all that. The reason why we started using the Sony, it's more cumbersome. The batteries are heavier. You have to have heavier external IRs.
You have to change the batteries out.
You have to change the batteries out. But here's the deal. You can use a better external microphone on it.
Yeah.
And that's when we were really able to start getting some really good audio. Because if you look at some of our videos that we're shooting with action cameras, we'll be like, did you hear that? You
And
can't
it's
hear
just a
anything.
series of that. Yeah.
You can't hear anything. And that frustrates the hell out of people. And it frustrates us. Because then we review the footage and there's just nothing there. And we're just like, we sound like crazy people. So the whole purpose of it is to try to, and it's a pain to carry. I got to have it on a tripod. It's heavy. It's cumbersome. It's bulky. It's clumsy sometimes.
If you break it, it's very expensive.
It's very expensive
to
if I break
replace.
it. That was the other. We're actually streaming from it right now.
Yeah.
That's what we use to stream our live streams with. We have it hooked up to the computer. But with all of that being said, when we hear something in the distance, we've got the ability to use the shotgun microphones, and we're starting to experiment with different microphones right now.
Yeah.
That's the other thing on this, and that's why this project was so important, is because we don't go, this is what we do, and we're going to be doing the exact same thing in the exact same way 10 years from now,
Correct.
or even a year from now.
Mm-hmm.
We're constantly trying to upgrade this stuff. We're constantly
trying to innovate and
having experiences.
actually get that footage and try to get that
footage,
audio.
man. Get that footage. To try to get that footage where people who have experienced this stuff can look at it and go, there's proof I'm not crazy. Now I'm not crazy. Or have people who go, I always knew in the back of my mind it was real, but now I'm seeing something that's telling me I'm not crazy. This is real. So yeah, that's what we're carrying. It's a pain, but man, it's handy.
Marcus, I was about to click on that.
Yeah. If there's a dolphin in front of you, check him for ticks. So, I'm like hella behind on the freaking chat.
I am too. I'm trying to catch up.
Pyromedic need to use the megahertz generator out on Brown Mountain. I think start with the beacon. I got some ideas for that. I have the lights that we saw at Brown Mountain seem to be responsive, seem to be interactive to a certain extent.
Yeah.
This. And when I say communicate with them, that's maybe not the best phrase to use, but let's go with that. Let's see if there's a way to
contact,
interact with them.
Yeah.
Remember, like Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
Yeah.
Beep, 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 boo, boo. I want to do our version of beep, 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 boo, and see if we can try to interact with them. Visible light made them disappear and come back. So we're going to try that laser that Marcus got us.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some other things that we're going to do to see if we can try to get any sort of like interaction going on with them.
Yeah.
Especially there, because I'll be honest with you, that's the craziest thing we've seen. But out of all the stuff that we've seen and experienced, I did not get a bad vibe from that.
No,
it was wonderful.
I was so jacked up and excited that there was no way I was going to get a bad vibe. I don't think a bad vibe could enter my body at that point because I was so jacked up and excited, Kathy Grant has one here. Check with the fire station. They might sell older versions of their thermals when they get a newer model.
Actually a damn good idea. Hell, I didn't think about that. Write that down. You don't have your notepad?
I'm padless.
So
I've got my memory bank over there in the corner.
So that's a good idea to look at. Yeah, we've got one on the wish list that we're gonna get on the short list to get, because I want to. It's a base we need to get covered. So anyway.
Good night, Centurion Legio X. That's okay. It takes me a moment. I have to work through it.
I'm just talking about people looking for ticks right now.
Oh, Puglia says he likes the green vision. I can see better on my end. Yeah, it's a way better camera. Well, it's actually in 4K too.
The other thing too is that the full spectrum camera's got its place.
Yeah.
Because we have seen some weird light anomalies that regular night vision camcorder won't pick up. That I always go, man, if we'd had that full spectrum camera, we could have gotten it.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that it's shorter range. It's an action cam. It's basically a GoPro that sees in the full light spectrum. Yeah. So we can't zoom in or get anything further away with it, but it's so damn handy. It's just a little stick. You got the battery handle on it. You can run it for hours. It's so handy. And there will be times that we're going to go, probably, we need to use that just for because we're going to need our hands free, or we can't carry something bulky or cumbersome.
Yeah. Smiling Sue asked, Jesse, do you have a police background? I do not, unless you count getting arrested by them. No, I don't.
That's all you'll need to know. Jesse is a convicted felon.
Never convicted.
Never convicted. Thank you.
Thank you. Was that Cat Williams? Never convicted. No. Reverend PC asked, did I miss the explanation for all the holes in the grove? I really wanted to know the reason for those deep holes. I think when they do controlled burns in the area, so that because that's a pine forest, any kind of pine sap in those is going to go up. So when they do the controlled burns in that forest, the stumps will burn down. And I think that's where some stumps burn down.
We found those other holes up in North Georgia.
Those were not.
Those were not that. Those were
dug.
Those were manufactured. Those were artificial.
Dug.
No, with no shovel marks.
Those were
scooped out of the ground.
But there was no sharp shovel marks. But the ones in the grove appear to be from a controlled burn. That's just what I think they are. That's what it seems like everybody else's opinion is.
Yeah, and I don't get that. But somebody did have a weird idea. Somebody had said, and it's just these random things that somebody says that just kind of like sticks with me. They were like, I wonder if maybe Bigfoot would use them to drive game into, to try to cripple the game in these holes. And I just went, it almost crippled me. So that's actually not and
you're the game.
We were the game. That's what it was trying to do.
I am the game.
I am the game.
Triple H.
It's like Q Motorhead right now.
It's all about the game. And now you play it.
Eric Vasquez is back. We haven't seen Eric.
Eric Vasquez back.
How are you, Eric?
Hello.
Eric was
tripping
like
up on you, Jesse and Joe. Sorry, the important ones first. Will you, or what do you think of any cave investigation?
We got a cave guy.
Yeah, we're definitely not. I'm not going into a cave. So
I will go into shallow. I won't go super deep. Our cave guy, Death Wish, like slithers on his belly between cracks and like loses skin to do it. I ain't doing that. You know what? I risk enough. I'm not going underground like that. I don't want to. What is the cave incident that you always talk about where the person got stuck underground?
The Nutty Putty Cave.
The Nutty Putty Cave. I ain't going out like that.
Alex Petticoff was the one who introduced me to that. And like Alex is sitting in the back seat of the car and he's talking about it. And I'm sitting in the front seat Googling it. And I look at the story and my eyes just get wider and I just get sick. So I'm that is something that has never left me, is the Nutty Putty incident.
Elizabeth Moore, that's very kind of you. Y'all have helped me get through severe nerve pain, whether it be through the field videos or the laughs and the live. Rock on. Thank you for
awesome,
that.
Elizabeth.
You know, and we've talked about this in the past, but when we first started toying around with the YouTube thing, this was just kind of like a temporary thing we were going to do. I wouldn't say temporary, but it was just kind of a lark. We're doing it on a lark. And then we got contacted by somebody who was unable because of health reasons to get out and do this stuff themselves. And they were like, I really felt like I was there and let me kind of escape a little while. And that really kind of stuck with us, man. You know, I mean, it just kind of stuck with us. And that was part of the reason we really kind of got more serious on this. And that was part of the reason why we do things the way we do, is we want you to feel like you're kind of along for the ride and out there with us. So, and that's why we're so hell-bent on getting footage, man, because we want to share it and let people that can't do this for whatever reason, you know, maybe you got like 8 kids and you can't take the physical risk of going out and doing it. Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. You got 8 kids to take care of. You can't run around the damn woods like we do. I wouldn't recommend it, you know, but it's just, the whole idea is just to try to like let people maybe experience some of this stuff firsthand that you've always just hear secondhand stories. I
started some stuff, but Smiling Sue says, LOL, Jesse walks like a cop.
Somebody had mentioned that too, that had a cop walk. So, Missouri Broad, Starlink has a portable RV setup. I'm actually looking at getting that in the next year. The whole goal with this, now that we launch memberships and they've taken off, and I know we sound like a broken record sometimes and people get tired of hearing about it, but I'm just telling you right now, it's helping progress this project in ways that we didn't originally anticipate being able to do.
Yeah.
One of which is going to be trying to get a mobile Starlink thing. So we got to stay within range of the Starlink. We can't trudge through the woods with it, but we can set up in areas like the Laughing Beast and share it with everybody. You can see real time what's going on out there and experience it as we do. And guess what? Some nights there ain't going to be a damn thing to experience. Okay. Cause that happens to us. Other nights you might actually be able to firsthand witness something really extraordinary at that point. Romans 1:16, blessed. Have you ever experienced weird laughter in North Georgia? Yes. Have you experienced weird laughter in North Georgia? Because that's a very specific question. And if you have, would you
Yes.
mind reaching out to us?
Helpandholler@gmail.com.
Helpandholler@gmail.com. We're insanely behind on emails right now. I
feel
don't
like
even
that-
know
I
how.
feel like I need a flashing sign that says we are insanely behind.
I don't even
on
know how
emails
many,
now.
how far behind on emails we are at this point. I have no clue. What's Marcus got? He's got something good. Thank you for that, Marcus. How do we look at the history of just the last 500 years of recorded human history regarding vampires and werewolves and just disregard them now? You know what? You're right. And we always talk about that boggle threshold, and now it's limiting to people.
Mhm.
That's my boggle threshold. Werewolves basically equal dogmen at this point. We use the, and I'm not saying as far as like transformation, although I guess when you get to that point, you can't rule it out, can you?
Yeah.
But vampires just seem like it's, and you can even probably tell by the way when I talk about the story, I'm just baffled by it. I'm just going, this just seems, for somebody who's got a pretty wide open on far as what I can comprehend and accept as being real, vampires like freaking out there, man, you know? But you're right. It's something, and almost every culture, I'm sure there's one or two or maybe multiple out there, but multiple cultures have their own versions of vampires. That's something that seems to just span all of, like, you know, the human existence at this point. So
I'm actually surprised that none of our regular viewers have jumped into the my ex-wife was a vampire.
not yet. So
But yeah, there's a long history of vampires and there's different forms of them. There's
Yeah.
Psychic vampires, emotional vampires.
there's vampires that drink out of your heel, and that's why you have to keep your feet covered when you're asleep. I think those are Greek vampires.
Opa.
The Strigoi, and there's all sorts of different stuff.
Martin Valderrama says, longtime viewer, first time chat. I love the show. I've seen a video of the laughing beast. Sounds a lot like a hyena. Sounds a little like a hyena. I might have it on my phone. If I find it, I'll send it to your email. Yep. Helpandholler@gmail.com. If you do find it, please send that. We've gotten some interesting North American hyena stuff lately. So
and that's my quest, man. I'm gonna be honest with you right now that we're interested in all this stuff, but I'm obsessed with that.
the North American hyena.
The North American hyena stuff, but the ones that are really just kind of like prevalent through here because they don't seem entirely natural in this neck of the woods. But every time I think I've got like a real current lead on one, like, hey, I saw something last week, it goes cold.
Yeah.
But if we ever get a good, like, I'm having this act, everything else is getting dropped, and we're like going towards that, man. So everything else is getting dropped.
Villain Vid says, Dogman on Whippets. That's what you'll find in New Orleans. Before you find a
Yeah, you
vampire,
will.
you'll find a dogman.
Follow
on
the empty
Whippets.
whippets. So
Everybody says I walk like a cop.
you have a very, when you're in the woods, you're a person on a mission. You're on a mission.
Got an air of authority about
And
me.
it's, you guys can constantly see me telling her to slow down, and everybody's always like, that girl's gonna get killed.
And Joe goes, I can't wait.
But it's just that it's a lot of times when you're getting the walking footage, we're on our way somewhere. We're headed somewhere and everything like that. We don't include the footage of us just standing around, like, you know, planning and doing everything like
Eating
that.
Vienna sausages.
You're getting a condensed version like that. So, all right.
Oh. I'm gonna do last call in a minute because we're gonna probably end.
We'll give it another 10. We'll give it another. We'll
Yeah.
take it to 9 o'clock.
We're
on
gonna
the
take it to
dot.
9 o'clock because we have a guest.
Kathy Grant. All my experience camping have been near Native American drumming, chanting, and war sounds near Blood Mountain. We've had some experiences near Blood Mountain.
Yes, we
before,
have.
So, Scott Bradshaw wants to know, what about getting a drone? We actually have a drone that we are getting used to right now. Down the road, a thermal drone is going to do it, but get on the list. But that's expensive.
And I've also got to get my FAA 107 because you can't use drone footage on YouTube without an FAA 107. So I've got to get my FAA 107 license before I can actually deploy it.
We got a lot of irons on the fire. So.
Yeah, so I've got to study for that test. So I've got to study for that test and get licensed before I'm allowed to legally use drone footage. So that's on there too.
Ellen Smith had asked, what's your opinion on your lightning detector? Has been helpful in your investigations? We come up with a lot of cool crap on our own, but we always openly say that when people kept when we were getting that weird like 1.6 gigahertz signal that we were picking up in certain areas, and everybody was going, "You got to look at Skinwalker Ranch show."
Beyond Skinwalker.
Yeah, when we were looking at like YouTube clips on it, we noticed them wearing the lightning detector, and that's something that we flat out lifted from them. We didn't come up with that. That's something we looked at and we went, "It's ingenious," and that's something that's commercially available, and we can get it and do it. We've gotten weird stuff on it.
Yeah.
We've gotten weird stuff on it. I mean, obviously, if we're getting
it's pretty inconclusive, but it's interesting
and it's inconsistent. But it does. We do get some weird stuff on it sometimes.
It's just, you know, like I said in I think I turned it on in the video this past week, and I said, well, why not give it a shot? Spooktator Bob, knife check.
Actually, we stopped doing knife checks for a while.
We did,
but we got some housewarming presents from our house guest here. I have
what you got there, Joe?
A CRKT. What is the abbreviation for this?
HZ6.
An HZ6, which is awesome. It's like a Hisatsu almost, if you're familiar with like CRKT knives, but this one's like overbuilt. It's freaking awesome. It's really awesome. I've had it here next to me. I've been kind of fiddling with it while we're
fiddling with it. And I have a black triangle G10 knife. That means it is not metal. So you can just kind of take it anywhere if you want to. But it is modeled after Ed Calderon's knife that he uses, his little modified fruit knife that he has. But it is a black triangle G10. And that little thing is wicked.
Lady Wolf's out. Night, Lady Wolf.
Good night.
So...
military retiree radical for Christ KJV says you guys should look into eating MREs in the woods. We eat freeze-dried food.
Take MRE pound cakes. Those are pretty
good.
So yeah.
Actually, you got me a McRib MRE. A 2016.
Yeah. You haven't eaten that yet, have you?
I haven't.
The golden, like the holy grail.
That's my holy grail. I know you just you don't want to eat it, but I'm gonna eat it. I'll have to film myself eating it just so I can get like a good reaction to it. But yeah, we just eat freeze dried food. Mountain House, or what's the new brand we've been doing? Peak
Fuel, Peak Zero,
Peak Meals,
Peak Meals, something.
Well, they're very good.
They're bougie
awesome.
Though, man. They're like bison and like, you know,
bison mashers.
So.
Peak Fuel, something like that.
Way of the Sploot says, how do you manage and organize all of this? It ain't too organized right now. Looking around, it is literally. We need to do a before, before, during, and after video sometime.
Yeah.
Just because it's a lot of work, man. It's just, and I wouldn't even say we could be a lot more organized than what we are, but just keeping this stuff organized and the equipment and all that, it's a full-time job, man. It is a full-time.
Elizabeth Barr says, you're getting a case of Vienna sausages for Christmas, right? I'm really on the barbecue ones right now, not the regulars. I love the barbecue. Barbecue is chef's kiss.
Thank you for that, Grace. Fun show tonight. Great video this week. Good job. Good night, helpers. I guess Grace is dipping out. So
thank you.
We're going for a few more minutes.
Yeah, everybody. I thank you for everybody. I'm not a cop here. It's the rig belt.
The duty belt.
It's the duty belt.
Then the Skinwalker Ranch stuff. Yeah, we were talking about that a couple weeks ago. We don't watch a lot of TV, and I had the impression that the Skinwalker Ranch stuff was basically just like, what's Oak Island? You know what I'm saying? It was all scripted. And I guess that there's some real stuff that goes on there. There's some legit research that is put forward as a TV show to kind of help out with them. So I hadn't really watched a lot of it until everybody beat me over the head with it when we were getting that weird signal. But I had mentioned a couple weeks ago that for just two people with no backing, I think we punch above our weight class there. You know what I'm saying? They're doing stuff we can't do, but they ain't that far ahead of us.
Yeah,
they're not that far.
And we don't have producers, directors.
I'm not shooting off rockets, but you know what?
I got a guy.
We might have a rocket guy.
I got a rocket guy. You never know.
Marcus sent me creepy laughing hyena sounds on Facebook Messenger. Thank you, buddy.
Is your Facebook Messenger working?
My Facebook Messenger is fine. I don't do Facebook a lot, but I do have it just to keep in touch with a few people, and I got locked out of it. So.
Shane McCullough said everyone's going live tonight. LOL. Well, we go live every Monday at 7:30 p.m.
Yep.
Eastern time. Every Monday. We've been doing it for a while now, so we're gonna do it every Monday and continue doing it every Monday. So don't care what anybody else does.
New members, we'll put out a thing for the Discord channel. Discord channel starting to take off.
Yeah. Yeah, the Discord is a lot of fun. A lot of good discussion goes on there. So if you are a member,
and you know what, I tried to make that organized with different channels on different topics. Everybody's just in the main thread, just babbling about stuff.
Yep.
Carmen Robles, what place is the most scariest place you guys have gone on your investigations? And do you guys get scared anywhere you go?
there's a level of fear everywhere because we're out there in the middle of the night.
North Georgia's bad.
North Georgia is bad. It's pretty
Laughing
scary.
Beast is unsettling.
Yeah.
North Georgia's a bad place. That's a bad place. I think I've said that multiple times when we're out there investigating. It's just a bad place. You just get a feeling that it's just bad. It's bad. For me, it's probably North Georgia nowadays. You know what I'm saying? North Georgia's just bad. So
Peak Refuel, that's what it is.
Yep, that's
Those
it.
are the freaking now there's a sweet pork and rice.
So they're nice, man. They're pricey. They're pricey, but they're good. They're good.
Yep. All right, so you're gonna wrap it up in a minute.
Let's do last call. If you guys got anything
call.
crazy for us, anything got anything you want to say?
And make sure you hit that like. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. You got your notifications on. And if you're a member, we are going to do a
Night, Michael. He's
We're-
leaving.
yes,
So I just
good
want to say
night,
goodnight
Michael
to him before he leaves out.
if you're a member, we're going to do a live members investigation, I believe, coming up. Not tonight, but possibly tomorrow.
Possibly tomorrow
So,
night if the equipment works. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So which is becoming
Yeah.
a going.
So we're going to do a members
ongoing thing there.
investigation tomorrow if the equipment cooperates.
Mhm.
So keep your notifications on. We are really excited to do that. And if you guys have anything else,
If you haven't already, go check out our video released on Saturday.
Yep.
The Hunting Bigfoot at Night thing. It's an all-night video. It's pretty cool.
Yep, it's
So-
all night footage. So you guys really love our night investigations. We're some of the only people that do night investigations, and especially in the way that we do them. So it's an interesting watch. There's some cool sounds there. So make sure if you watch it.
No big groups, no camera crews. It's just us
And then
and the night
turtle soup.
and turtle soup. So
Yep.
Patty G says her son suggested you pop Vienna sausage cans like grenades and throw them at Dogman and then run.
I can't leave
She
it.
would pop it and then she would have it and
I'd
the
have
Dogman
one.
would be coming to her and she'd have that second's hesitation where she's just going, I can't throw these disgusting meat treats at this animal.
Delicious meat treats.
Delicious meat treats at this
Hey.
animal.
No
And-
weenie left behind. Okay.
And she would be, and then and then she'd go, I've got to do this or live. And then it would be too late. The Dogman would be upon her, would eat her, and would leave the Vienna sausages, wouldn't touch them. I'm all filling people meat. I don't need this processed stuff. I got a belly full of people.
At some
People meat.
point, am I more Vienna sausage than girl?
Yeah, he's probably not going to eat you. He's probably going to beeline to me. That's probably it. So
Peak turtle soup.
peak turtle soup. So, all right, we're wrapping it up. Thank you, everybody.
All right, guys.
Hold on a second. The werewolves and Dogman is biblical. Yeah, but there's stuff in biblical. And we hope you become a member. We've got some good stuff out there.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys
We're
for
wrapping
joining
it.
us for another Hellbent Holler live. We'll see you guys for another live on Monday.
Hit the like button if you haven't
Make sure
already.
you hit that like button. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you have your notifications on. And if you are a channel member, keep an eye out for our notification tomorrow evening. We are going to try to go live for an investigation out in the field. So tune in for that if you guys are
With our
available.
special guest star,
With our
Venom Devil.
special guest star.
We'll have a Hellbender out there with us. So
Yep. And what we appreciate you guys joining us tonight. You guys have a great night. Be safe. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And let's listen to some cool tunes on the way out.